Hi loves, loves in Tofino, my lovely mermaids that I love so dearly in this place. I just wanted to make a little bit of a video for you describing maybe what to expect for a workshop that I'm teaching this Saturday at Coastal Bliss, 6 p.m. November 28th, sliding scale $13 to $20, and it's all about the moon cycles and the phases of the dark goddess. I'm really excited for this workshop. I haven't taught an in-person workshop in over a year. It's definitely long overdue. But I'm really excited for this workshop. I think in previous workshops, I've loved doing them, and I have always delivered good information in my workshops, but I almost did them more just for fun. And yes, I'm doing this workshop for fun, but this one has some really potent information that I know if you come and you hear it, it has actually huge potential to deeply change your life. So I'm really excited about this. Why I'm so excited? Let me just give you a backstory. So there's a couple backstories to this. I'm going to talk to you about what's relevant. And they're going to have to do with sexuality and depression and how I've experienced sexuality and depression in my life. And this workshop on the weekend is really going to directly relate to those areas of our lives, like if we've ever experienced depression or how we experience our sexuality. That's really going to be have a focus. Anyway, so I'll tell you the backstory and then we'll get to that part. So I never really fully understood this about myself until maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, that I had been experiencing mild depression on and off for, since probably I was 11 or 12. So I say mild depression because it wasn't super, super strong, except for one time in my life. I remember it was, pretty intense for a couple weeks, but other than that, mild depression. I was carrying, there's sort of this energy that I just always carried within me, and it was always a sort of, it just felt really, just for any of you who have actually experienced depression, which I think is quite a number of us, it's just, it doesn't matter how exciting, on the outside something may seem, you just don't have the energy to just get excited about things, and it just seems like there's just this deep gray, ugh. And it's hard, and you carry that around. It doesn't matter if you're having a really, really good day. At the end of the day, you kind of always come back to that energy, and it's just there, and, it's just coexisting with you, but it's just there. So I experienced mild depression for probably, actually being able to figure it out, probably, 12 or 13 years. And I have not experienced that energy of depression for about a year now. And I was literally feeling this almost every day. Sometimes I'd go a couple weeks without it. And it wasn't that I was like I said, it was mild depression. It wasn't anything that I've seen other people go through, and my heart goes out to them. But like I said, you carry, when you experience this, you just carry something around, and you can be giddy and happy and be on your purpose and be excited and traveling and doing these really cool things, but you're still carrying this energy around with you. So I have somehow, and I'm going to talk to you about how in the workshop, gotten to a place where I no longer experience that. And I experience sadness, absolutely, but it flows. And that pit of whatever it, was, is not really hanging out with me anymore. Not to say that it might strike again one day, but I will definitely have the tools and know exactly what to do, because that'll just be another layer. So I'll talk to you about how I did that in a second, just give you a little Coles Notes version so you know what to expect at the workshop. So there was that part of my life, as well as sexuality. And sexuality for me was always something, up until I was just even recently, a few years ago, literally, was something that was pretty scary to me, actually. I was the virgin out of my friends forever, for so long. My nickname in high school was Pussy, because my friends were like, you're such a pussy about all this stuff, the sexual stuff and this whatever, just such a pussy about it. You're so Virgin Mary about it. And not to say that virgins and that energy don't honor their sexuality. Not saying that, but it was just something that it felt like it didn't come naturally for me to understand what feeling sexual felt like, and allowing that creative energy to really flow, up until a few years ago. And then I really did some work around my sexuality and realized that it wasn't that didn't have enough sexual energy, that I had a lot of sexual energy, as all of us do, and I just was blocking it with shame or things like this, and I wasn't allowing it to flow. So now gotten to the point in my life where I actually feel really sexy. And I'm like, what? Like, how did that even happen? But I'll tell you how it happened. I feel sexy, but more importantly than that, I realized that sexual energy and creative energy are one and the same. So I use my sexuality, aka creativity, to create the changes in my life that I want to see, or just enjoy the life that I want to enjoy. Even like these like hair pieces, like this is like from my creative energy coming out, and like they make me feel fun and et cetera, but it's because I'm allowing my creative energy to really flow and do its thing. And I'm definitely in the process of doing that. I'll be doing that for my whole life. I'm really, really excited and interested to see what the journey has for me. But those two things that I've really felt like I've really done some beautiful work and healing with is depression and sexuality. And the key factor in how I started to heal my relationship with these aspects of my life was what I'm going to talk to you about in the workshop on Saturday, the moon cycles and the dark goddess. So really honoring cyclical energy. By that I mean that everything has its cycles. Nature has its cycles. The moon has its cycles. The ocean has its cycles. Our body has cycles. And yet we live in a patriarchal world that does not honor cycles. And so we're always sort of expected to be like the same. We have this kind of like go-to, like, be like this. And if you're like the numbers are like a little bit off one way or the other, then like, get back to that point of this. And, mathematically, scientifically, going to doctors is kind of just that energy. And it's just really detrimental, especially for a woman, because what can happen is, say right now, I'm feeling a little bit unsettled. I've been feeling unsettled for the last few days, and I've been waking up feeling just some stuff is coming up for me. Whereas maybe a few weeks ago, I felt differently. I don't even know how I felt a few weeks ago, honestly. But a few weeks ago, I felt differently. And say a few weeks ago, I was full of inspiration and excitement, and I really remembered that. And so if I'm feeling unsettled right now, what I know that I've worked with many clients, I work with a lot of young women with my angel work and intuitive work. And what I've seen in a lot of clients is they compare themselves to how they were before. So they're like, I wish I was as inspired as I was 3 weeks ago or 3 years ago. Or I wish I was, taking care of my health like I did 6 months ago, but now I'm just not. And then the judgment sets in. Well, why am I not feeling that way? And they look at that as better. 6 weeks ago, it was better. I was feeling like this and it was better. And now I'm feeling like this and it's not as good, and I've got to get back to that. So that ideology is without understanding cyclical energies. So let's bring in the idea of cyclical energies. So we're going to talk about the moon cycles this workshop and really deepen into understanding them. So bringing back to the example of my life, I feel unsettled right now. The sun just shifted out of Scorpio and is now in Sagittarius, and the full moon in Gemini is tomorrow. So first off, the full moon and the full moon in Gemini, which is a sign that I have in Venus in my chart. Full moons produce a feeling of unsettledness sometimes, depending on what your chart looks like and how that affects you. We'll talk about that in the workshop. But if I did not follow the moon cycles at all, and I really wasn't very aware of them, which is how it was about 5 years ago, I would not really understand that it's totally normal to feel unsettled right now. The full moon is in tomorrow. Yeah, it's bringing stuff up, definitely. So in that way, I can let myself off the hook. I can just be like, oh, it's all good. Of course I feel this way. As humans, we always have this thing that we want to be able to describe why something is happening. We always want to know, to our detriment, absolutely. But, not being comfortable with the unknown. But still, if we know that we're like that, we can work with it. So I know that the full moon is tomorrow. And I know that full moons bring up a lot of stuff, especially me being a Cancer. And, unsettledness. I can also look at other different things that are happening astrologically. I'm really, really into astrology. And I can understand, that would make sense that I'm feeling unsettled because this and this and this are happening. Whereas, say, 6 weeks ago, if I felt really, really inspired, maybe there was a placement or something happening with the moon or something happening with the planetary changes that really favored that energy of inspiration in my chart. Even if we're not talking about astrology, even if we didn't even touch on astrology in the workshop, it still is true that we have cyclical energies and everything happens in cycles. Sometimes we're really happy and sometimes we're sad. And when we just allow ourselves to go through the cycles and not say that's good or that's bad, it just is, we let go of self-judgment and we just can experience what is going on. Instead of fighting it and being like, I want to experience what I was experiencing 6 weeks ago, we could just be like, this is part of this cycle. This is what's happening now. So I'm going to deepen into it. I'm going to feel it. That, a part of that, as well as what I'm going to talk to you in a second here about the dark goddess, the faces of the dark goddess, is really what helped to shift my depression completely, because I was no longer so afraid of just feeling my feelings when they really poured up, because I knew that they were temporary. It all happened in cycle, and that it wasn't bad or wrong. Different parts would be really illuminated at certain times of year, and I could just deepen into that and feel that and let it be okay. And when we feel something, we heal it. So I allowed myself to feel my depression, to feel the sadness, because I was aware of these cycles, and I was aware this is just a part of this cycle, and I'm going to allow myself to feel it. And I'm going to be happy at some given time in the future, whether that's in 5 minutes or 5 days or 5 months, whatever. I'm going to feel this right now. This is just part of my cycle, and it's temporary. And that is really what helped me to move through those feelings of depression. This weekend on Saturday, we're also going to talk about the dark goddess. And the dark goddess is the part of the goddess that is not so talked about, not so honored in our society. The dark goddess, the dark night, the unknown, the mystery, the blackness. This is where when we honor the archetype of the dark goddess deals with the shadow aspects of life. Our society doesn't want to deal with the shadow aspects of life. We only want what's good, what's hot, what's fast, what's going to get us to pleasure ASAP, and we avoid pain like it's our job. The dark goddess brings us to a place, the archetype of the dark goddess, the energy of that honoring of the shadows, brings us to a place where we can start to honor pain as okay. So exactly coming in with the cycles, what we were talking about, we can also, with the energy of the dark goddess, realize that any pain that we're experiencing is okay. We can feel it. We give ourselves permission to feel it, because the dark goddess allows us to feel the juiciness within it. The shadow aspects of ourselves are really worth tuning into, meditating on, feeling, and starting to be honored. When we do that, we really, really can change some things. And that's where the sexuality comes into play. Because to be truly allowing our sexual energy to flow, we have to honor the mess and we have to honor the pain, because the sexual energy cannot get through those blocks that we say, no, I have shame here, this is not allowed, no, this pain is not okay, so I'm going to put a block on it here. And now our creative life force energy can no longer flow because we have blocks. So we say, I can feel you, but I can't feel you, so you stay down there. And all this juicy, incredible sexual creative energy is blocked. And so when we start to really feel, deepen into feeling our pain, being okay with the dark nights of the soul, honoring the goddesses of Kali, of Hecate or Hesate, I don't even know how to say her name, I'll figure that out before Saturday. Lilith, we're going to talk about different archetypes of the dark goddess. The Hindu goddess Kali is like my favorite, I work with her all the time. We're going to bring in that energy of what do these goddesses have to tell us, what is the information, we're going to meditate with them. And really in that way we're going to help to release these blocks that where we're saying, no, I can't feel that, that's not okay, this is okay, but that's not okay. The dark goddess says, dude, it's all okay, shut the fuck up. Feel it, you gotta feel it to heal it. And in that way the sexuality, the creative life force energy can all move, the depression can move, the depression is just stagnant energy, can move, it can be released. So super excited for this weekend. We're gonna meditate, we're gonna have tea, we're gonna have discussion. By meditate I mean we're gonna go on a journey with these goddesses. We're gonna really have a deep experience, and one meditation can actively transform what you're experiencing right now in your life. I'm going to answer any specific questions you have. I'll bring my angel cards. We can do some card readings after the workshop, just for fun. It's going to be awesome. It's super affordable, $13 to $20 sliding scale. I just want, it to be a really, really beautiful evening that's available to whoever wants to come. So, yeah. Message me if you have any more questions, comment below. You can buy tickets at Earth Mama Love Kitchen Collective, cafe I've co-created with some sisters, 154th Street in Tofino, next to Wolf in the Fog. Or you can come to the door to get tickets. You can also get tickets online through Eventbrite. I've made it easy for you. So I'll see you sisters soon. Much love, many blessings. Thanks for being, the mermaids that you are, because you're great. Bye.